All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session with Betty. We want to understand how she moved from finance to a data science role. Just a brief, this is a session hosted by Africa Data School. We are a data science school. We teach data science to young professionals in Africa. Without much further ado, Betty, please just introduce yourself and yeah.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me this chilled, I think it's a bit chilly evening. So my name is Betty Kamanda. I currently work at Setova. I'm a data scientist there. My background is in finance. I did Bachelor's of Commerce, specialized in finance back at Strathmore University. Joined the job market, but actually joined in finance, but then moved to procurement for 4.5 years. Just to now did a transition to data science by taking a career break for 1 year. And here I am.
All right, Grace, that's awesome. I shared the LinkedIn profile for Betty, so you can check her work history, her school history there. So let's start off. So just tell us a bit about what you learned in university.
So in uni, I did a Bachelor of Commerce, specialized in finance. I was really more interested in doing investment.
Okay.
But I was actually good in finance, and I was really hoping to join the four firms at some point. I was very ambitious, I must say, and I was also looking forward to do also a master's in finance. But then I did my finance 4 years, just as mentioned at Strath, got my first class honors.
Wow.
And
what do you say?
Sorry?
What do you say?
But I have to say.
Okay.
So I got the first class, and then I was more of an entrepreneur back then. I wanted to do entrepreneurship. I feel like I'm a jack of all trades. I wanted to do entrepreneurship, but I also wanted to work in corporate. And so I also started my businesses when I was still in school. That later prepared me, I think, for the job market.
Okay, so you do finance. Quite curious, what business did you start when you were in uni?
I did so many businesses. When I was in uni, I had gotten a scholarship to study there. And so I needed to support myself. And one of the ways I found the best way to support myself is to do a business to earn a bit of money, maybe pocket money here and there. So I started a cleaning business with a friend, but later on left and started another company in landscaping. So did landscaping for a while. Can't remember for how long, it's a period of, I think, 1 year or less. And actually my first client was the US Embassy to maintain some of their homes that they have. And that's how later on, that's when I changed now to full corporate, because time.
Okay. Oh, that's quite commendable. So you finish uni. Did you look for a job after university?
Apparently, no. Immediately after university, I was preparing myself for business or entrepreneurship. So I didn't look actually for a job at all.
Okay. So at what point did you get into a corporate, like a formal job?
I would say, got headhunted for the job that I got. I didn't apply for it per se. So they just asked me if I would want to work with them. And I said, okay, let me just go for an interview and see how things go.
Okay.
And that's how I corporate.
And you got the role. And the role, what role did you get?
It was, I was working in finance as a finance intern for about 4 months.
Okay. So like your day-to-day, like what was a typical day like in our finance?
Oh my. In short, I would say debit and credit. And
Okay.
creating a financial reports and doing balance sheets.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I figured it was a bit not me.
Okay. How long did you take before you were like, okay, I came into this but it just doesn't work for me?
I think it took me 2 months, 3 months, because later on when my then boss approached me and asked me, would you want to, shift to something else? I was like, yeah, I want to try something new. Because I'd felt it was a bit of a routine and I needed more of a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you moved now from the finance department to
To know procurement.
procurement in the same company.
Yes, but now it was more of actually replacing someone. You see, normally, maybe when someone leaves a company, then we need maybe to replace someone in that for that position.
Yeah.
Maybe rather than going through the hiring process all over again and all that. So I was requested if I would step in for a while and see how it goes, and maybe we would wait and see if someone else would fill in the position. But actually, now I ended up being there for about 4.5 years or so.
Oh wow. Oh wow. So they were like, okay, she seems like she knows what she's doing. Why don't we try another 3 years and see?
Yeah, well, like let's see what, as long as she's doing the job.
Okay, but it sounds like then it was exciting because you decided to put in time. Like 4 years is not a short time.
Absolutely. And it's only because it's a new field. It might be related to a bit of finance, but then it was a totally new field and we were doing new things in the company. And I thought, why not try? I'm always open to trying new things.
Okay. So now you're killing it in the procurement role. 1, 2, 3, 4 years. What happens in the fourth year?
Yeah, so in the fourth year, once again, I think I go through that phase of I need a new challenge. I'm feeling like this is more of a plateau. I want to, every day I want to do something new. I want to try a new challenge. And of course, I'm now getting more interested also into technology. And I'm feeling I don't want my work to be phased out, or the kind of work that I do. I don't want one day my boss to be like, actually, this can be done by this tool or by this. We don't really need you to be here. And I get to that point where also curiosity. My boss used to be very curious, and he used to always remind me, you need to be curious. You need to ask yourself, where is this number coming from? Why are we encountering these changes? Why is the rate going high? You need to be a bit more curious in life for you also to succeed. And so I was struggling a bit with reading or getting insights also from data and from highlights. And I thought maybe I should do my research and see, is there something more out there for me?
Okay, so it sounds like you kind of knew that your role might be phased out at some point.
I felt so,
You
maybe.
felt so.
Yeah.
Okay. And then had nothing to do with the pay.
No, no.
Okay.
No, not the pay.
Not the pay. So
Yeah.
one, you just felt that you needed a challenge, and two, you could foresee that at some point, my skills will not be relevant anymore, and probably it's not a human who might replace me. Maybe it's a computer that will replace what I'm doing right now. Okay, so now you get that back, and then now you decide to resign, or you tell them to fire you.
So I decided to resign. But actually, before that, I actually did 2 to 3 months of research.
Okay.
I talked to a couple of my friends who are who kind of know me.
Yeah.
And
So what are you researching at this point?
I'm asking my friends, according to the experience you've had with me, what do you think are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Where do you think I would actually prosper more? And actually, it's one of my friends who mentioned and said, I think you have such an interest in mathematics, in curiosity, in this, you'd want to do a bit of analysis. Why don't you just consider looking at, statistics or data analysis, or, it was just a mention, someone, who felt maybe that's the turn you could try and take. But so I did like about 2 to 3 months of research, just checking on YouTube what is out there, what is happening, is the technology, what's changing in the technology field. So before I actually even jumped in or even did my resignation, it was more of, let me first do my research and understand what I'm diving into in the next phase of my career.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with what you did in campus. This has nothing to do with your previous job. This sounds like just, I'm interested. These are my capabilities. I think I can be able to, to do something else. And based on feedback, maybe I might just get into data analysis at this point. So did you know about, sorry about that. Did you know about data science, or how did you come across data science?
I didn't know anything about data science. It was from a lot of research, that it's from a lot of research that I was able to jump into data science. I didn't know anything about it. And of course, my friend suggesting it, that's how I now dived into, now checking, okay, so what is this data science? What does it have to do with? Can I jump into it? What are the requirements if I actually wanted a job in data science? So I didn't know anything about it. It was through pure research, talking to people, asking questions. And of course, it's also a risk. You might dive into it and things might never go as you hoped.
Okay, that's interesting, and that takes me. So let me just for everyone in this online chat, if you have a question, kindly just write it on the chat. We are going to address it at the end of this session, or in the last probably 30 or 15 minutes of the session. Okay, let's carry on. So now you have decided now you want to do data science. What's the next step you take?
Sorry, my background might be a bit noisy. So so the first things I decided now to do is, can I get back to school? But I have limited time. I have limited resources, and more so, I'm not sure whether it's the right thing to do or not. I am uncertain. There's so many uncertainties that come with the shift. So I decided I will go minimal in terms of my resources and in terms of time, just to, check, is this actually what I want? So I first of all now researched on schools that offer data science certifications, and maybe for a short period of time, just so I can test the waters. And I listed the schools I would consider. I also listed how much, the school fees, how much time it takes, how broad will they go into, the topic. And after listing, now that's when I came also through Africa Data School. And I remember us having that call where I was asking you questions just to understand, what am I getting myself into? Is it something, you'd recommend I go for? And I think it was more 3 months, 3 months theory, or rather being in class, and 3 months project. And I thought, okay, it's a good time to, to invest. 6 months is not a lot of time, so maybe I could go into it. And of course, also the school fees made sense for me. And that's how I landed. That was my first school I got. Yeah.
Okay, so just I remember that conversation. So you asked so many questions on that day, like from like you're saying, from the duration one, will it accommodate the time I have? Of course, for you at least you took a break, but I think that was something that came up at the time. How deep into the course do you go in, and how much does this cost? And so I remember it was a very lengthy conversation, and we are really glad that you ended up in Africa Data School. So now you've settled for Africa Data School, and then now it's time for class. How would you say your experience was from, actually it was for 12 weeks. That's what you do live classes, and then you're doing projects at the same time. So you start life with Africa Data School. How did that go?
Sorry, I didn't get the last question.
You start life with Africa Data School. How does that go? What was the experience like?
Wow, let me. So the first few, so the first few weeks were the hardest.
Okay.
First of all, I didn't even know what was going on.
Because your background has no computer science, your background has no a lot of statistics, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So there are a lot
you
of
have interest.
Yes, but I have interest. And a lot of technical terms are being thrown here and there. And it's a bit confusing just because I do not have that background. And at some point, I tell myself, this is it. I'm not going back. In terms of, I have to do this. I can't be so afraid. So and I used to talk a lot to my friends who are in tech as well, who gave me the support, telling me, don't really give up at the very first time just because you can't understand the terms being thrown here and there. What you need really to do is to keep going and to keep doing your reading after the classes are done. So I would say for sure the first few weeks were confusing. That's the word I would use. I didn't know what is happening. I didn't know what was going on. So I took it up to combine the schoolwork with online classes and YouTube, a lot of YouTube and a lot of online classes. Also, remember, I do not know how to code. My Hello World was the first time in 2021. That's when I did my first one. And I'm excited.
Class?
Sorry?
Was that in class, the Python class?
Yes.
That's the first time you wrote Hello World. Okay.
Yes. So I think what really pushed me was the excitement. I felt like magic was happening.
Oh yeah. That's software.
Yeah. So I felt, oh, this is so cool. This one looks so good. It felt like if I actually do 1-2 lines of code, something beautiful is coming out on the other side. And that I was really, really excited, like just someone who just getting to school for the first time. And that is what actually kept me going. So apart from the classes I used to attend, I used to try as much as possible to do to combine these classes with other online classes. I did data camp courses, if I can't remember well. I did a lot of beginner courses of MySQL as well, just to ground what I'm being taught in class. Yeah. But later on, maybe I'll give it after 1 month. That's when all things kind of now start making sense. And I used to love the fact that we used to do a lot of projects, like we are not just doing theory, we're actually going deep into how do we execute this if we actually have a real project that you're working on. Because when you get out here, you're actually working with real projects. You're not just writing theories or maybe explaining things, you're actually doing the job. And that's what I used to like more about just doing the classes. We have projects that we are working on, and also the community around it, that there are actually people who know what they were doing. There are people who have the background in computer science or maybe statistics. So they're able to understand things better, and I was able to connect with people online because I did my classes online. I was able to connect with people online, just to clarify things for me, why are we doing this and all this. And more so even my teacher, Reagan, like I used to do a lot of extra hours with him, just to catch up, just to make sure the next time I'm going to class, I'm a bit closer to what, where we are at now. So I think that support really came in handy when I was studying.
Okay, so the reason I love this is because, when I'm talking to people who want to learn data science, one of the questions they ask me is, what if I don't have a background in software? What if I don't have a background in statistics? I'm like, what's the qualification for Africa Data School? The qualification for Africa Data School is, do you have interest in learning data science? Because think about it, if you've never done anything, what qualification would you have for doing that thing apart from interest, especially if it's a new thing? So, for example, it's just something that's about 5-6 years old. It's not in being, it's just now being introduced in university, in some places, but every just this year or in the last 6 months, you can imagine how the field has changed just in the last 6 months. So I like it that you came in as a beginner, but the drive was there to learn. And yeah, after the first month, you say you could see like there was light at the end of the tunnel. What would you tell? So what would you tell someone who is at that the 1 month part? What would you tell someone?
One thing, that's a question I also get asked, is you have to keep going despite the fact that words are not even making sense. If you're doing like machine learning, you're even confused, like why are we even doing what we are doing? I would tell you to just keep going, because at some point, not all of it, but let me say, at some point it will start making sense. At some point you will click, oh, that's actually why we did this. Oh, that's actually why we were doing this. You just have to keep going. You can't just drop it you just can't drop it. It's gonna be more interesting as you move forward. It's gonna be a bit smoother as you move forward. So do not be afraid of the big words. Do not be afraid of the code. Like, keep going, just keep pushing every day, just keep doing something about it. If you're doing I think also the best thing is try to involve yourself in a project. Pick one project, and as the lecturer is giving you, today we are doing step 1 of, for example, of machine learning, do your step 1 on your project as well. Try to figure it out. And even if you feel it's not making sense, sometimes you just need to take a break, take your walk, take some water, go back to it, and Google. And also something else I would want to mention is some courses might give you a different, if you're learning, some courses might give you a different perspective of how to approach something. So it's very important for you to combine different, maybe different courses, not different courses, but the same course, but different people explaining it in different ways. That's what I mean. One person might explain it in a way that you might not understand, but then you need now to go and check who else is talking about the same thing. Maybe they will explain it in a different way that you can actually understand. So don't rely on just one person or your maybe lecturer giving. If you're not getting it right, then you can always check on someone else who's talking about the same thing, but maybe they would explain it in a different way or in a better way that you can actually understand. So well at it, you have to keep pushing.
All right, thanks. Now that's Betty looking back to the person who was just 1 month old into data science. Okay, that's nice. So remember, everybody, if you have questions, just write on the chat. We will address them just before the end of this session. Okay, so now you are done with, I'm assuming you're on a roll. You get to the end of the of the course, then what happens? What goes on after that?
So I finished the course and I feel I need to put more foundation on what I've studied. I felt maybe I just need two more certifications to just, make sure I'm getting things right and I'm understanding things. And so I decided to apply now for the AWS machine learning course. And they also have a course called AI programming with Python.
Is it free?
No, it's not free. So they collaborate with Udacity, where you need now to apply for the scholarship. Okay. So I decided to apply for the scholarship for the two courses, which gladly I get, and which I started in July, just after finishing with Africa Data School. Okay. So, I think it was a 6 months also course.
All right. So during these 6 months, are you just learning, or what else are you doing?
Purely learning. Okay. I also decided to combine a bit of cloud computing. Okay. So I got to do cloud computing with Microsoft. So I did Microsoft Azure, just fundamentals, just to understand things better. And it's also because I also got, I talked to people just to give me the different perspective of how I should approach this. And so that also I do not feel like I'm competing with people with degrees in this field, so I need to keep up, I need to keep learning. And so I need also to keep making sure my foundation is well done. Okay. So I'm purely learning at this point. I'm not combining it with any work. All right.
Did you do your Microsoft exam?
Yes, I did. And actually that was because your Africa Data School was able to help us get through the Microsoft Azure.
Yeah. So you did that. Did you pass?
Yes, I passed.
All right, great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm glad. So now you're done with, so this is about, it sounds like it's about 8 months of just learning. So like 8 or 9 months of just learning.
Yes, it's 6. I think I finished, just a moment. Try to close something. Okay, sorry for that. So I think I finished Africa Data School in June. I think that's when I submitted the last project. Okay. And so immediately in July, that's when I get the scholarship from AWS. Yeah. So, and that scholarship was actually the first, we were supposed to have finished by December 9th, if I'm not wrong, but then it was extended till I think January. But by 9th, I'd already gotten my certificate. So it's more or less a whole year of learning.
Learning, okay. All right, so now you finish learning. What's the first gig you do? What's the first official thing in data that you do, that you help someone with, or you help the world with?
So immediately I finished the AWS. So we had a couple of projects that we were working on. And so immediately for me was to look for a job, and really to look for a job that actually aligns with what I've been studying. Because there's also a high probability of when you start looking for a job, you actually don't get exactly what you've been studying. You're shifted again. So I really wanted to focus on what I was currently studying, and more so, we live in an economy where I need to support myself. It's 1 year of me not working. I now need to start looking for a job, but then a job that actually suits me perfectly in line with what I'm currently studying. So the first thing I start doing is to look for a job.
Okay, what job do you get? And how long before you get it? How long did you take before getting the job, and what job did you get?
Oh it was the most tiring process of looking for a job. I think most people go through this. I really really got a lot of rejections. And you see now, when I'm now looking for a job, I'm starting all over again. I'm starting as a junior, really. And it's humbling. Coming from, a place where you're doing okay, now you're starting all over again as a junior. It's really humbling. But then it's surprising also that it's hard to get a job even as a junior. And even with, because you see in data science, somehow you might need a core or like a business, what is it called? A grounding, like maybe you had maybe finance or you're good in supply chain. For you to do like data analysis for a bank, maybe you need some background business knowledge on that. So I thought it was going to be an easy journey, but I did so many applications. I think I do 5 to 10 in a day.
5 to 10 applications in a day?
Yes, in a day, just sending and sending and sending.
Okay.
And most is rejections and rejections.
Yeah.
But then in December, that's when I get, that's like where I get first positive feedback when I go for an interview.
2021, yeah?
2020, even 20 what? 2022.
December, that's when you get?
Last year.
So that's when you get, so that's after how long? Like, that's after like how long?
Just after, because I'm done with school December 9th, 2022. That's last year, right? Yeah. I'm done with school December 9th, 2022, and I get an invite for an interview the same December.
Okay, which company?
No, this is October.
Oh, this is October, okay. So
yes.
you had not done anything before, you hadn't done any other thing before that?
I had, but I think I was failing maybe first stage, second stage.
Okay.
Not proceeding as much.
All right. So now that's when you get an interview with October?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. All right. And did you ever do any free work?
No.
Did you do any volunteer work?
I used to collaborate with a few friends, like, just, they can give me like a small part I do for them, just to, but you see, I would say maybe fortunate that I didn't have such a big gap just after school before I get a job, because this is December 9th, and in the same year, December, I get an opportunity to go for an interview. So yeah, so I don't have like such a gap, where I would do a lot of free work, but maybe that happened, it actually didn't get the opportunity.
All right, okay, so you interviewed with Zetova. How did that go?
It was smooth.
Okay, how many interview stages did you have to do?
One.
Only one?
Only one.
Oh wow. And what role were you applying for?
Actually, it was more of LinkedIn, of someone sent me and told me, are you open for an opportunity through LinkedIn? And I said yes. And after a couple of months, that's when they asked me to go for an interview. And I went for the interview and I got it.
So what do you think about LinkedIn made you like them? What do you think made them DM you?
Sorry, I lost you.
What do you think was on your profile that made them DM you? Because I'm sure they didn't just come from anywhere and sent you a DM on LinkedIn.
I think my thinking, I could be wrong, but my thinking would be, I involved myself with a lot of community. I joined Nairobi AI community. I applied to be the co-organizer at Nairobi AI. So I'm a co-organizer at Nairobi AI community. And one of the things for me when I was also studying is I needed to join a community where people discuss these things, talk about these things, because I wanted to really fully immerse myself into data science and AI. So I got the position as a co-organizer, I think back in May 2021. And so I used to do a lot of, talking about what we are doing, trying to host people, trying to bring experts in the field to talk to the members. And I think through that is how I got the opportunity, but also the fact that I have a background in finance also really helps, because one of the questions I got during the interview was based on that, the fact that you already have the knowledge in finance and supply chain. We need someone with that background, but also who is also a data scientist. And that's what I was saying. I think it's very important when you're doing data analysis or data scientist, you have a business knowledge. It's very key, so that you're able to understand the solutions that you're proposing or the insights you're trying to bring out. How can you relate them to the business that you're handling? Because data science or data analysis doesn't live, it's not alienated. Doesn't live on its own. It's based on something. So I think those were the two most the things that I actually had that maybe they felt that this is a good match or a good fit.
So at this point where you're becoming a community organizer, have you joined Africa Data School, or it's after?
It's after. Just before I finished my school, that was in May. Okay. That's when I got the opportunity.
So now, were you getting paid?
No, volunteer work, free.
But you said you did do volunteer work.
Oh, I thought it was more technical, but yeah, that was
okay. Okay, I understand. So you did actually, you just got yourself into the community. You are not even coding for Nairobi AI. You're just organizing a meetup, but you are still in the space. You're in the community. You're doing things related to AI. You're doing things related to data science, correct?
Yes.
All right, that's dope. So I'm just going to take a few minutes in your Zetova life. How is it right now?
Oh, it's super.
LG?
For me, it's super. Yeah?
LG, life's good?
Life is good. Life is good. I'm really happy. I'm really happy that I get to do what I've been doing that 1 year.
Okay.
Life is good. I'm excited. The team I work with, the environment we work in, and also the kind of work that I do. I have to mention one of the things that I fight every day, being honest with also our audience, is imposter syndrome. Every day you wake up and you're thinking, I'm always, yes, am I good enough? Do they actually trust me that I can actually deliver? And mostly it's because, you see, I'm working with people with this background. They have done it for 4 years, maybe it's school. They have maybe experienced 3 years somewhere, 2 years somewhere, whatever, 5 years. Here I am, and I'm trying to get into the industry, into the work environment. So one of the things that I fight daily is imposter syndrome. And sometimes the best way also how to kill it is just to keep going and to keep learning and expanding your knowledge. Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm excited to be working with them. And yeah.
Zetova is an international company, yeah? You're Kenyan, and the company is from which country?
I think it's Kenya. It's Kenyan.
Zetova is a Kenyan company as well.
Yeah. All
right. Okay. So I normally ask this a lot, just to give context. I know this might not be the main thing, but it is something. So compared to what you are being paid in procurement, how does it look right now? Be honest, whether it's lower, whether it's higher.
It's higher. I was actually surprised that's what I would get, especially as a junior, because as I mentioned, I'm starting all over again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's higher. It's higher, and I think if I continue working hard, it will be good.
Okay. So just nod your head. Is it 2 zeros?
What do you mean?
Is it 2 zeros?
What do you mean by
Does your salary have 2
100?
zeros?
Oh, no,
Does it have
no,
3?
no,
Is it 4?
no.
Is it 5 zeros?
Is it 5? About that 5.
Is it
Yeah.
5, 6, 5, 6? Okay, I'll take that. Okay, so just for context, Africa Data School, the fee only has 4 zeros.
Yeah.
But the salary is 6 zeros, 5 to 6 zeros every month. But anyway, that's putting it on there. Okay, so thank you. I think I would have liked to take this further just to get what you do on a day-to-day, but maybe that's something we do at another time. I hope you'll be up for it, just to go through what do you do on your day-to-day. But for now, let me give guys a chance to ask questions, and I'll start with the ones in the chat. You go ahead and answer, and then we have 17 more minutes with this, so I think it's just good if we go through what the audience has. So Yvonne Jerry has asked, for someone who is studying human resource and their strengths do not necessarily lie on mathematics or statistics, what's the best tech course to pursue?
Wow, that's an interesting one. Honestly, I really don't want to say I would want to drive them towards what I'm doing because that's what I know best for now. But if that's the case, maybe I don't know. This one I would want people to contribute and give their opinions, but maybe UI UX, maybe software developer, maybe QA, quality assurance engineer. But I'm also sure when it goes to the technical bit of it, whether mathematics or statistics really apply. But then in my case, it does. It does. So if you're not really keen on mathematics and statistics, it might kind of disappoint you. You might get frustrated unless you're really willing to push and to go out of your way to actually make it happen for yourself. But those 3 that I've mentioned, I think would work. But I would want other people to, I stand to be corrected in this one. I don't know.
Yeah, I think interest is a big deal in this. So if interest is a big deal. So if your strengths don't lie there, it doesn't necessarily mean that your interest cannot be that. However, if your interest and strength are not in it, I think digital marketing is something that's not too technical. You guys can hear me? You guys can hear me?
We lost you for a moment.
Okay, so as I was saying, I know digital marketing does not have a lot of technical and mathematics going around, but you need to know your way around tech. Also, UI, UX, as you mentioned, just having the flow of how tech products work is something that you can look into. Just my opinion on this as well. So we go to the next question. James asked, do you feel you lean more towards finance data? That is, you're more of a finance data scientist.
Absolutely. Somehow I tend to, I would want to assume I'm still young. So I would want to, I'm thinking I'm still trying to curate my way to to understand myself better and to understand what I'm capable of. And so maybe later in my career journey, I might start pivoting towards being a finance data scientist, or just because I have an interest also in investment, maybe I might. But it's something really that I keep thinking about as I move on with my, and also because exposure helps you. The moment you start working, you kind of understand things more, and you kind of feel, is this what I want to be doing every day, or do I want to change? But yeah, probably I might or might not.
Okay, so at the moment, what industry are you in? Like what?
I'm in supply chain.
Supply chain. So that you're a data scientist in supply chain. Okay.
Yes.
Hope James that helps. Julia Karanja asked, how many years of experience do you have in finance? That's one. I think we've addressed that, but you can say again. So the first question is, how many years of experience do you have in finance? And then what were your challenges? I think okay. What were your challenges transitioning? Even with, okay, this one, even with projects, employers need people who have 3 years of experience. So how did you deal with this? So the first one is how many years of experience you have, challenges in transitioning, and then employers need people who have 3 years of experience. So how did you deal with that?
How many years in finance? I'll give it stroke procurement. That will give me five years.
Okay.
Well, what were your challenges transitioning? I think I've mentioned a couple of them, but of course, there's also, I would say, just to add on to what I mentioned earlier, there's also fear of, is it gonna work out or not? Because you don't really know what you're diving yourself into. Will you be able to see when people are communicating, are you able to communicate right? Are you using the right words when you're communicating? That's another thing. Your field that I've been before is totally different from the field that I'm into right now. I need to be able to communicate the right things, we need to use the right words. Imposter syndrome is another challenge you go through. Time, you also need to understand you more or less don't have the time or the luxury to just, you need to keep learning, you need to keep making sure you're up to date, you're understanding what's going on, you're able to solve your problems that you're facing maybe at work. So those are some of the challenges. Even with projects, employers need people who have 3 years of experience. So how do you deal with this? I'd say for me right now, it's a day at a time. Honestly speaking, the challenges that come every day, I also try as much as possible to interact with my colleagues to understand, the tasks they have given me, how best can I improve, how best can I do them well. So that brings a lot of imposter syndrome with the lack of, I would say, the 3 years of experience. But I believe if you put in the work, if you put in the hours, remember for me, compared to someone who has been there for 3 years, I have to put in more hours. Unfortunately or fortunately, I have to put in more effort. I have to go the extra mile, maybe to prove a point that I can actually do it myself. But then that's what you go through. And I'm just giving you the rawness of things. That's what you go through at a workplace. So you have to give it your very best and to keep learning.
Just to add on, Julia, yes, she didn't have experience, but she volunteered for a lengthy period of time. And surprisingly, that's how she got headhunted. So yeah, Bossy asked, as someone in finance, what's a smart way to transition into financial data analysis, data science? What's a smart way?
Wow, that's an interesting one.
I think your way was smart.
My way for some people might not sound smart. Being out of work, especially if you've been working out of work for a whole 1 year, it's not easy. But then I would say this, if you're really, okay. A smart way might be you're transitioning as you're working, but then the thing is, if you're transitioning into a field you're not very good at, or you do not know what's going on, in my case, it's going to be a bit hard for you to transition while you're still working. You need to dedicate your time. You need to dedicate your resources fully to just be able to do your transition. Maybe if I didn't take the 1 year and maybe I decided to work as I do this, then maybe it would have taken me longer, maybe 2 years. Because you see, you're trying to multitask and have your work and you're still trying to transition into this new thing. I think the smartest way would be you drop things, and it might go wrong for you, but you drop things and you focus and you give yourself a timeline. You always need a timeline and you need an exit plan. For me, my exit plan was 1 year. I need to get myself into a project, into a job opportunity that does exactly what I'm doing. And thank God that December, just when I'm closing my 1 year, that's when I got the job. So if you're focused, if you're focused and you really need this, then you need to somehow drop things and follow. That's focus.
Okay. So Ian Kage asked, I would like to join a data community. Kindly suggest one for me.
Of course, I'd suggest Nairobi AI. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then I will help you. We actually have, just to mention this, we have classes ongoing right now in the Nairobi AI community we are learning Streamlit, but then it's closing at the end of the month, 30th March. So we had 30 days of Streamlit. So in April, we are having 30 days of MySQL. If you are interested and you'd want to learn, please, you can send me a DM on my LinkedIn, and then I will connect you, and then we can always study together. Yeah.
So I just dropped her LinkedIn handle on the chat. So just drop her a message. Kevin, are you afraid of being passed out by the recent emergence in AI? I guess
not at all.
Because you're creating.
I feel like I'm in the middle of it now. And I feel now that I'm understanding things better, I want now to actually position myself even better to make sure that I'm not one of those.
Yeah. So
I'm not afraid.
So one of the best things about data science is that you're in the future of things. So it's hard for you to get replaced because you already have figured out what you need to be doing so that you're not phased out. So for example, there's things like music. So AI is making music, AI is making images, AI is making photos, and the work that Photoshop does, AI is doing. So I wouldn't say it will phase out completely. So what might be phased out is a certain feature in Photoshop probably. And the number of people who are experts in doing Photoshop might not be the only ones, and there'll be many more because I can just say, hey, remove the background and put cows at the background, and it does that. So if you're in the field, chances of being phased out are really minimal. If you are ignorant of the fact that this will change things, I think that's the only time that you risk being phased out. So Elsie McKenna asked, I'm aiming to have 2 years of experience in analytics before I transition to data science. Is this relevant?
Absolutely. I feel this is very good. And it's good that you start from analytics and then you transition to data science. I think that's a very good foundation you're building. So go for it.
Elsie, keep it up. Mwanaidi, what's your goal eventually in terms of growth? If you are to do a master's, what would you pursue?
I think my goal is to venture into machine learning. So that's where I'm focusing on. I'm still, of course, still thinking about it since it's a long-term journey, but now I'm also looking forward to hopefully to do a master's in machine learning and AI. Yeah, okay. So that's hopefully the plan.
Have you identified a school? I know there is probably
a couple that I'm looking into, but not yet settled.
Yeah, check out University of San Francisco. They're really, they have, the Data Institute is really into making sure that people get data science. And then the people who are teaching there are actually professionals in the field. They've done some amazing stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, Billy, what tech skill sets do you normally use in your day-to-day work? What does your typical day involve? Billy, ask the question that you wanted to answer the next time, but go ahead.
No, I'll just answer. Yeah, 2 minutes. MySQL, a lot of it. That's the main one. Day to day, I'm doing insights, I'm doing highlights, and of course, also I'm creating machine learning models also on a daily basis. Yes.
Okay. Billy, I'm sorry, your question is, needs like a whole session, because I think we will not have done it justice just by telling you SQL and a lot of insights. I think it needs a longer session, and I will make sure to plan that. If that's okay, Billy. Elsie asked, my CV shows experience in different fields in NLP, computer vision, and I just feel like a confused techie. I feel like I'm unable to demonstrate my experience. Currently, I'm interning as a data analyst, and I'm like the pro in a way in the company. I don't get that much critique in my work, and I feel a bit stagnant. Just advice.
I think first of all, where you're at, I think it's a good thing. If you're interning as a data analyst, but then maybe you need to really try to look into what other opportunities are out there and see whether you can get into those firms. Maybe the job you're not doing maybe is to look for opportunities, since if you've already done your NLP and computer vision, then how best you can know if this is what you like, this is by trying out. I don't think there's any shortcut around that. So it's very important you start looking at what are other firms offering, what are other positions being offered out there, apply, get into them. You will figure out when you're inside whether this is it or not. So I think it's good to also have the skills that you're having. I think they all relate, but it's good you try to work them out in a workspace and get their work experience and see if that's what you want.
Yeah, Elsie, I think you're in a good space. You are a data analyst. It's just that they're not utilizing your skills as much as you would probably like. So like Betty said, look for a place that gives you a chance to implement your NLP, your computer vision. You don't have to do all of them at the same time. You can concentrate on NLP or you concentrate on computer vision. So look for companies on that in that angle. And I think probably one of the things we'll do at Africa Data School is just pinpoint such companies just to help you with this. So I think that's something we'll put out in our next newsletter or mass email. Okay. Don Karaoke asks, share volunteering sites or where to find volunteering opportunities.
I might not unfortunately have so much, but we have a lot we are trying to organize at Nairobi AI community. So if you can just drop me a DM, then I can involve you in some of the projects we are hopefully trying to work on this year, and hopefully we start in May. Yeah.
All right, very good, Don. Make sure so in case you've not seen the link, I'm going to copy paste it again for you, Don Karaoke. Go ahead and check it out. So final question from Felix. Apart from major skills you got from ADS, do you think AWS boosted you a lot into getting a job at Zetova?
Absolutely, because if you get that opportunity also at AWS, it's a good opportunity, a lot of practicality when it comes to their projects and to the community as well, and to having live session leaders as well. And I learned a lot of what's it called? Also a lot of machine learning and AI there. So I think it absolutely did it did me good to join AWS as well.
Okay. So Felix, I think what I can say is, so one of the things we do is we made sure to incorporate Microsoft for one single reason. Data science is not in isolation. It works with other things. So we could have taken AWS, Microsoft, or any other cloud platform. But we felt that, you need to know this so that when you go outside, you're not getting surprised. So having AWS, having maybe GCP is a big plus for you, and you can never go wrong with that. And I think, carries weight in your application and in your interviews. Finally, Elsie, Elsie is an alumni of ADS. I think for that reason, now I have to take this personally and make sure to address what you just asked. So I'll reach out to you, Elsie, and thank you everybody who sticked around. I know we've gone overboard with 3 minutes. Thank you, Betty, for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was...
hopefully we can have another session where probably we do some practical stuff, not just the talking part. And thanks for telling us your experience. Regan says, thank you, Betty. Regan, I think, was your instructor. And we are, as Africa Data School, we are proud, and we wish you all the best. And looking forward to you doing a lecture soon for ADS classes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it as well.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice time. See you next time.
Bye.